네, 안녕하세요. 오늘 클라우드로 보는 헬스케어의 미래에
Good
대한 주제로
afternoon.
발표를 맡게 된 AWS
I am
부서의
Joseon, manager of AWS Korea, and
클라우드에
I'm
대한
honored
그리고
to
클라우드를
give you the
활용하시는 방법에
presentation
대해서
titled The
인사이트를
Future
얻으실 수
of
있는
Healthcare
귀중한 시간이 되시길
through
바랍니다.
Cloud. And I sincerely hope
먼저
that
AWS
my
아마존
presentation could be
웹서비스라고
insightful to
하면
all of you.
헬스케어
Let's
산업에서
first take a
혹은
look at
생소한
the
서비스라고
healthcare
생각하실 수
and life
있는데요.
science in
이미
AWS.
AWS는
As you
16년
know,
이상 가장
the
포괄적으로
AWS over
광범위하게
the past
채택되어 온 클라우드
a
플랫폼이면서
decade
그중에
has been
절반
widely
이상인 8년
adopted as a
이상을 헬스케어
platform, and
산업에
especially
집중해 오고
for
있습니다.
8 years, we
그리고
have
저희
focused
글로벌
on
헬스케어
healthcare.
전문팀은
And we also have the
업계에
global
약
healthcare
15년
team,
이상의 업계
and all of
경험을
them do
가진
have more than
전문가분들로
18
구성이
years
되어
of the
있고요.
experiences.
이미 100만 개 이상의 고객들,
And we
2천 개
already have
이상의
more than 1
공공기관과
million
의료기관들,
clients,
그리고 5천 개
including more
이상의
than
교육기관들에서
2,000 public
저희 AWS
institutions and
클라우드 플랫폼을
5,000
채택하셔서
education
혁신을 이뤄내고
institutes.
계십니다.
They have adopted the AWS
저희
platform
아마존이라는
to
회사를 사실
foster
물류 회사나
innovation.
혹은 우주
You may
산업에
think that the
진출한 회사로
Amazon
이미
is a
알고 계신
company
분들
for
많으실 것
space
같은데요.
industry and
저희
logistics, but
AWS는 아마존
AWS is the
웹서비스의
cloud and
줄임말로
computing arm
클라우드
of Amazon.
컴퓨팅을
It
제공하는
stands for
아마존의 비즈니스
Amazon Web
유닛입니다.
Service.
아무래도 이제 B2B 회사다 보니까 조금
Because we are the
생소하신 분들이
B2B
계실 것
company, so
같은데요.
some of
앞서
you may not be
말씀드린
familiar
헬스케어
with our
전문가들이 이
company.
헬스케어
But as I said
비즈니스를
earlier,
잘
the
돕기
healthcare
위해서
expert
최선을
team
다하고
in
있는
our
상황입니다.
company are now doing their best to provide the best healthcare solutions. Back in 1994, Amazon was established and we overcame the dot-com bubble, and in 2004 we recorded the rapid growth. However, with the growth of the organization, it was difficult for us to have an effective expansion and respond to market changes. And I think that this is a problem that every growing organization experience. So in order to resolve these issues, our leaders tried out the platform where the employees can self-serve their needs. And it was pretty successful, so they thought that this platform could be applicable to clients as well. That's why in 2006, AWS began, and that became the foundation of the cloud computing that we now enjoy today. Let me briefly talk about the cloud computing. I'm sure you are familiar with that, so I'm not going to talk about the technical details of cloud computing. But what I like to emphasize here is that I think that there are some shifts in the reasons why companies adopt cloud computing. In the early days of the cloud computing, it was mainly for the traffic agility as well as the cost savings and elasticity. But nowadays, in order to have the agility and also to innovate, a lot of companies have adopted the cloud computing. Now, focusing on healthcare, which is a very broad industry, I'd like to make presentation, and I'm going to divide them into 4 different workloads for my presentation. The first one is the biopharma. So they are subject to tight regulation, and efficient development of therapeutics and innovator is very important. So globally, in order to develop the innovative drugs and the target substances, they heavily use cloud platform. Unfortunately, in Korea, when it comes to biopharma industry, cloud is still very new, and a lot of companies still rely on ERP, and they migrate ERP to cloud to have operational efficiency and cost savings, and they tend to adopt cloud to the easy one, the low-hanging fruit. For example, like if they have their own website, then in order to ensure the traffic flexibility, many of them rely on cloud platform. Next is the genomics, and I think that when it comes to genomics, what they are highly interested in is to make use of massive amount of data and store them, and therefore globally and locally, in order to make the best use of data and analyze data, they have used the cloud technology. And as for health tech, it is actually showing the fastest growth in healthcare industry. So they use the personal data and provide the customer services based on the personal data, or they provide the platform for this kind of services, or using smartphone applications. They develop the recommendation algorithms for personalized medicine. Next is about the medical device, which is now growing increasingly to become a software company. So for patients, or they collect raw data, and therefore they have a lot of image data and numerical data. And what they need is to have fast analysis for these images and number data, and to have insight and provide that to the customers in the most efficient way. That's why they have adopted the cloud. And these four sectors, through the digital transformation, they are now taking on some new roles. So the traditional healthcare companies, they focus on raw materials and logistics. However, through transformation, they are now given some new roles. For example, like especially for digital innovation, productivity increase, providing better UX and customer experiences. A lot of workloads are now being converted to digital. So hardware and software are provided through the platform, or sometimes by fabricating and analyzing the patient data. We also have some players that provide effective solutions. From now on, I'm going to talk about in what areas, what kind of technologies have been adopted, and how these players have achieved digital transformations. I would like to show you some examples. And so I hope that my presentation could give you the insight that what areas of your company or your business can be converted to digital and also be achieved with digital transformation. So digital transformation is a very big, far-reaching goal, and while achieving, in the journey of achieving this, there could be some technical difficulties that you may encounter. One of them is the siloed data and also the outdated management system. Siloed data means that it is managed within a centralized system, and therefore if there are problems or failures happening in the centralized system, then the entire data will be affected. And also in on-premise environment, because the system is located on-premise, and therefore if you want to have performance higher than the certain limitations, then you will be subject to physical limitations. So you cannot really do this. And also these data, they are not really connected to other software and solutions. So interoperability is a big issue. And also data communication between different departments are also very limited. And inside the company, in order to, so the company-wide, some are trying to achieve innovation, or they have a great idea. But in order to achieve the innovation, the fast execution is very important. But if there are problems with the data communications because of the siloed data, then of course this will hamper down the progress. And therefore, this has been cited as one of the most common issues, but it can also be one of the greatest incentives that force companies to pursue digital transformation, because they want to overcome this limitation. And overall, this is the mission for healthcare industry. So they want to utilize the existing data and achieve innovation at lower cost with better efficiency. And that's why they want to adopt the technology. And not just Korea, globally, I think this is a sort of the common mission that the healthcare industry is pursuing. Especially when it comes to healthcare companies, they deal with sensitive data, including personal data, and therefore using technology, they want to have effective protection of personal data and also ensure high compliance. And so they provide the solutions in the form of platform, or sometimes they develop healthcare-specific solutions in order to facilitate innovation. And aside from that, as for clinical trials or to gain, we have more and more companies who try to gain insights from data. So the insight that human beings cannot find, or insight that will take a very long time to be found if you rely on manual process. But if you use the AI or the machine learning, then you can gain these kind of insights in a very efficient and rapid manner. And also genome data does have a massive amount of data. So in the past, it was virtually impossible to analyze that. But utilizing the novel technologies, nowadays, the data analysis is now being done in a much shorter period of time. And insight can be gained more easily. And now these insights become platformized and be provided to clients. And also, last but not least, using mobile devices or smart devices, the personal data can be effectively shared, and it can also be converted into the personalized services. And these personalized services will be the basis for the recommendation algorithm to pursue more digital innovation. So we now have various movements going on. The cloud and AWS, as I mentioned earlier, can they really achieve the cost savings and digital innovation? I'm sure some of you may have some suspicions. So one thing that we can test, rather, the fastest way is to have the fast trial and fast experiment. So one of the benefit of the cloud is that you can start fast and you can validate fast, and therefore risk is small and opportunity cost is small. And aside from that, you can iterate one cycle in a very short period of time, and therefore you can identify whether the technology is appropriate or whether the technology is something that you need. So you can make that decision in a very fast manner if you use cloud. AWS does have an expert team in healthcare industry, and for the long time, we have accumulated the know-how. So if you could utilize them, you can facilitate your digital innovation. And the easiest way to partner with AWS is that we actually already have the off-the-shelf healthcare solution, so you can utilize that. Or we have a lot of customer examples and portfolios, and you can benchmark them. The innovation that we are trying to pursue, if you do have concerns whether your direction for innovation is globally aligned, you can get some technical and operational guide and counseling from AWS. And also, if you do have a great idea, but if you have difficulty in executing them, again, you can rely on our expert teams, and they can provide various advice. And if you want to go global, and if you have like a lot of overseas businesses, and if you want to ensure compliance with the market, then again, you can rely on our service. A key example is the company called M, which is a genome analysis company. So I'd like to talk about how they overcame technical challenges using our solutions. When it comes to healthcare industries, I think the most interesting area is how to process massive amount of data, how to make use of them while maintaining compliance, because many of the data is sensitive, and also there are a lot of individual personal data, and therefore data management is very important to ensure high compliance. And also the physical servers and storages, you see, the data are accumulated in the physical servers and storages on premise. However, there are some limitations, and you cannot purchase these servers unlimitedly forever. And that's why, in terms of performance and cost savings, clients do have a lot of concerns. So the company M actually faced a similar challenge. That's why they adopted the Amazon cloud and overcame these issues. For example, like they established the globally standardized backup system, and they comply with the security regulations in Korea, EU, EDPR, and also they were able to store the data effectively and analyze them effectively. Why? And also because they are in cloud, so they were able to reduce the operation cost and purchasing cost for physical servers. So for example, like for cloud, you can divide the data that you frequently utilize and the data that are at rest, which means that you don't really use the data. And once you divide them, you can put the frequent use data on cloud, and by doing so, you can have significant cost savings. And also, if you do have the domestic business or overseas businesses, compliance is a very important issue. So for example, like ISMS in Korea and EU's GDPR, these are the important regulations. And if you do have the manufacturing facilities overseas, then you may also think about the GMP compliance. In Amazon Web Service, among the cloud service providers, we support the vastest and the most comprehensive security standards and the regulations, certifications, so you can rely on us. And another thing that we focus on is big data analysis and AI and machine learning. more and more machine learning happen on AWS than anywhere else. And a lot of clients do have the machine learning project based on AWS. And more than 85% of the deep learning projects and TensorFlow projects are running in the cloud on AWS. And also for healthcare industries, AI and ML are now widely utilized to drive significant innovations. I would like to give you some examples. The first case is with the Medtronic. As you know, they produce the cardiovascular devices. And they developed a solution to enable early detection for the colon cancer, because if you detect the colon cancer early, then survival rate goes up significantly. And also GE, in order to process the imaging data over 1 petabyte, they relied on AI technology. So within the next decade, I believe that there will be more data being produced from DNA than the entire data that will be produced from SNS. And also already in the space science and whether compared to the data from space science and SNS, a lot of people predict that healthcare will produce even more data than that. And in the sense, the Illumina, they again use the AWS platform in order to have accurate analysis on more than 3 billion pairs of the gene sequencing. And by doing so, they were able to achieve the cost and time savings. And also the Samsung Medical Center, they also adopted the AI and machine learning technology in order to develop the solutions for the surgery patients. IoT is also growing fast in healthcare. So, for example, like biopharma companies or medical device manufacturers with warehouse, they use AI and IoT to enhance productivity or to achieve cost savings. So one of the key examples is cold chain based on IoT. As you know, pharmaceutical products, they're very sensitive to temperature. Especially the COVID vaccine is very sensitive to temperature. And if you use IoT, then all the issues that could happen in supply chain, you can respond to that faster. For example, like if there is a temperature excursion, then you can collect the data faster if you use IoT, or if there is a temperature deviation, then you can collect all this deviation data on a real-time basis, and therefore you can react to that in a fast manner. As you know, if there are failures with regards to the temperature control, then it could lead to the huge amount of cost. And therefore, by using IoT, you can prevent those kind of accidents. And also, many biopharma factories, they have adopted the digital innovation and IoT in order to improve production efficiency. For products that are not labeled, they use IoT to recognize that or detect it. Or in order to ensure smooth operation of the conveyor belt, they use IoT to collect data from different sensors. Or through the POC to identify index, again, they rely on IoT. Last but not least, I would like to give you the case of AstraZeneca. So when producing COVID-19 vaccine, AstraZeneca is known for its COVID vaccine. But in fact, before COVID outbreak, they used the AWS cloud platform to achieve various types of innovations. One example is that in order to find out the probability the human being can never find out, or to find out the candidate for new drug development, they use the cloud analysis and AWS platform. And also they divided the development and manufacturing to develop talents more effectively. And also when they do have a new drug development, They can complete the tests more than 50 billion different kinds of tests in 10 seconds. And also using image analysis technology, they recognize and detect the labels, and also using IoT and digital transformation technology, they were able to achieve cost and time savings. And their target is to analyze more than 2.2 million genomes. So using machine learning, you can actually make what's impossible with human possible. And many attendees today, you may be interested in going overseas as healthcare companies, so you can open research institutes or offices overseas. But then you may have the problems in terms of the compliance, data sharing, and so on, and communication. And therefore, the small and medium-sized businesses that try to go overseas, we provide various benefits for our programs. Among the cloud service providers, we do have the largest global infrastructures, and therefore, regardless of the location that you want to venture into, we can establish infrastructure only in a very short period of time, and we can also provide the free of charge pro bono consulting services. And also for some companies, we can provide the $5,000 credit for 3 months uses. And if you want to distribute the content globally, then you may have to have the CDM service, and we provide discount for that. And therefore, we have a lot of financial benefit or discount programs that are available. And so if you are lack of the talent or know-how to establish networks overseas, then you can rely on AWS Partner Network. They will bring a range of SIs and GSIs and hardware software automation partners. And so if you're interested in the service that AWS provides, please give us the business card, and we'll give you a small gift as a token of our appreciation. When using Amazon Web Service, many people ask what kind of benefit we can get. Basically, your idea and also the idea that you want to pursue, you can execute that on cloud, and all technological expertise and assistances is something that we can provide. So if you do have the solution or service that you want to build, we can help you, and also we can give you various reference and benchmark cases. And since we have the machine learning team and healthcare team, and therefore, if you want to have some workflows where you want to experiment and try with new technology, then again, we can support you. And if you want to have migration from on-premise to cloud, then we can also provide you with the analysis results on the time and cost savings, as well as the outlook for the future. And if you are lack of human resources, then you can rely on our partner network to address that. So today I have talked about some examples of how companies use AWS for healthcare. And I think that my examples are mainly the global foreign companies, but I think that Korean companies also do have the potential to utilize these state-of-the-art technologies to become leaders globally. In AWS, when it comes to healthcare industry, we have numerous customer example case studies, and therefore we can deliver various stories to help you grow to be a leading company globally. And this will conclude my presentation. And please visit our booth to know more about our company. And if you give us the business card, then as I said earlier, we'll give you some small gifts. Thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation.